which is a 24-hour music and gospel station. We welcome you to the Eyes of the Conscience Soul with Sister B. Mellow and Mr. George Pearson. The Eyes of the Conscience Soul brings to you every first Saturday of the month the Cafe Le Bleu Lounge, where there are 15 to 45-minute segments called The Corner. Each corner has a blueprint that is unique of its own. So we always ask you to relax and sometimes vibe out to cool sounds like you just heard a little earlier, fireside chats, which are very fiery, and be inspired by affirmations and inspirational messages. The first corner on Cafe Le Bleu Lounge is the Artist Talk. We showcase musicians, poets, singers, dancers, film producers, authors, comedians, gospel and R&B rappers from around the Bay Area to across the globe. They will share their creative process and their lived experience. On the corner, you can also catch Why I Dream. We highlight and honor the inventions and creative work of today's brilliant mind, along with the geniuses from our past. We are preserving African American history and culture in order to keep our legacies alive. On the corner, you can also highlight She Who Believes Takes Off the Mask. This is where we hear from individuals sharing their personal testimonies to what the Lord has done and is doing in their lives, which are inspirational messages. Also, we are highlighting golden lights affirmations to impart healing medicine in the souls of the brilliant minds of today. Every tongue twister there. Every second Saturday of the month, we have the Medicine Hour with Mr. George Pearson, P.S., physician clinician, and he is hosting the Medicine Hour. This is where we believe building a better tomorrow starts with us. Topics we cover: health issues and concerns, healthy eating habits, education, financing, and politics in the African American community. We believe taking care of our temple, mind, and spirit is essential to having mental wellness, always thinking about healthy eating practices, and knowing that healthy thinking leads to a healthy way of living. Every third Saturday of the month, we have the Education is the Best Medicine, hosted by founder and producer of Education is the Best Medicine, Mr. George Pearson. Education is the Best Medicine is a 501c3 nonprofit charitable organization which is community based, health, education, advocacy based, and a resource based organization that uses public media resources, radio, newspapers, and church based community health fairs to provide information and education. I'm going to let Mr. Pearson say the theme and the vision of Education is the Best Medicine.
Um, Barbara, well, welcome back.
I just want you to give the art. What was the new vision of your Education is the Best Medicine?
Well,
I haven't done. I'm not done yet. So that's
okay.
all I want you to do, if you would, sir.
Okay. So the view of education as the best medicine is and has been and will always be to see the unseen while shining light on the darkness in our community and our world.
Thank you. Every fourth Saturday of the month, which is today, we have the kitchen table, and it is hosted by Mr. George Pearson and Ms.Barbara Howard, which is the co-host. On today, we have real talk conversations with individuals organizing community leaders, excuse me, bringing in community leaders, business owners from around the Bay Area to across the globe that are making a difference in their community. So we want to thank you for tuning in to Believe Radio. Again, we always want you to believe. So today's topic on the kitchen table is honoring Breast Cancer Month. And the topic for today is Women of Courage. Your voices, minds, and bodies matter. So, Mr. Pearson, take it away. But we also want to just make sure that we share all of what's going on on the Eyes of the Conscience Soul that we bring to you every Saturday from 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. Go ahead, Mr.
Well, I
Pearson.
want to welcome you back. It's been a long time since we've co-hosted, and it's one of the things we talked about doing. I enjoy that. I want to.
Well, I'm thankful to being back. I'm grateful for for entering back into the studios. I
Yeah.
was here last week, but it's good to be amongst you, Mr. Pearson.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
And this is still the focus is on breast cancer, and I just wanted to, and kind of as we kind of close this piece down, ensure that what I found really important is that we're seeing younger women with new onset of breast cancer, and the breast cancers are estrogen negative, estrogen. Well, the way they test them is with estrogen and progesterone, and these are usually negative in women of color, as well as negative HERS, which is another way of determining how the cancer is will be typed and may be treated. So it's something significant. We're asking women to go get their mammogram. It's been a
Please,
long
please,
time.
ladies, we love you.
And we think it's really important because it's one of the initial screening tests that we find. Got a email about self breast exam, and yes, they're good. If you're going to find a mass, it's going to be you find it first, and a man also find it first as 1% of men have breast cancer. And so we want to advocate that women be proactive and again move to getting screenings. And also, we're just really re-emphasizing the healthy lifestyle. This is a real correlation between obesity and onset of breast cancer. And so we're seeing this again in younger women. And so there's even a discussion about changing the screening age for women. And that has to do with, genetic history, which means is that if your mother or your aunt or that direct female had breast cancer, then you're more likely to be at risk, and so you should get screened, even though you're in your early 40s. I was reviewing some data, and I'm preparing for my boards. I have to take them every 10 years now.
Mm-hmm.
And so there was a discussion around when was a primary time for women to get screened for breast cancer. The correct answer in the test was 40, 55.
Wow.
Now, the problem...
Is that new? Did they change the age range?
The problem is they're missing the younger women of color.
Mm-hmm.
So there are even some question about, how early screening should start to happen now. Mm-hmm. The addition of, the mammogram, the ultrasound for dense breasts, all these things you have to talk with your primary provider because the game has changed. And I would say that significantly past COVID, women haven't, we're still behind the screening for women in that respect. So I'm asking all women to get their mammograms done.
Please, on that note, as Mr. Pearson says, as we have conversations with our sister girlfriends, our daughters, our nieces, our mothers, and all, we definitely want to have us start the conversation around, hey, sis, have you went and got your breast exam? And because we want to make sure that we take care of ourselves. So we're asking you ladies out in the community, please, as we're having conversations with our girlfriends, ask that question too. Go ahead, Mr. Pearson.
Well, also I think some things that came up was amount of radiation, minimal exposure for the for catching a primary breast cancer. It's minimal. The thing about these kinds of issues is the earlier you are able to access them and access the team, because what happens when a woman does. Hopefully not, but if she does has a mass that is pathological, then she becomes the center of a team in most centers now, where they have an oncologist and primary care, internist, radiologist. It's not just one person managing you. And what I found, I think, in the community is the aftercare, and what do women do after breast cancer surgery? how do they function? Do they need a lot of the has changed in terms of the ability for women to get breast implants, and how does that change their life? It's a whole different discussion about being a survivor. So
Right.
I just ask that we're just beginning the conversation. I look back. The first show I did on breast cancer was in like 2003, and certainly things have changed since then. So that's what we want to imply too, that things are changing. Early diagnosis, early treatment, early evaluation are the best ways to survive this, and have a quality of life.
To piggyback off of what you were saying about radiation, and we know it comes in different forms. I see a lot of women with their cell phones like up in their chest. Not saying cell phones are going to give you cancer, but should we not have those phones close to our chest or body? Is
I
it? What do you think
I
about
can
that?
only tell you what I kind of understand,
Okay.
and in terms of these devices, and they're not lead shields, so whatever
Mhm.
you are picking up in terms of radiation, you're picking it up as the closer it gets to your body. Um, I guess the thing that I point to is that Johnny Cochran had died of a brain tumor,
Mm.
and essentially he was a 24-hour a day cell phone user.
Oh, wow.
And so the discussion of how close these devices get to you in certain areas, and if maybe you have a cancer gene, that if it's it can activate it. So a lot of cancers are triggered by multiple things, just not one thing. And so we need to, again, obesity associated with high risk of breast cancer in women. And so that's why the discussion around healthy eating, plant-based diet, have been a major significance for women now, because it is about behavior, it's about changing lifestyle, it's about exercise, all those things that I know it's a has been a trial to do, but it's cheaper than breast cancer surgery or trying to
Mhm.
rehab from the stuff.
Mhm.
I just say that we need to be able to understand that we live in an environment that's very toxic,
Mhm.
mentally and physically and spiritually. And so, being aware of that, you just have to limit your exposures. That's why people are moving to, this whole quote unquote organic, not just organic, but just healthier eating,
Mhm.
cleaner eating. I mean, the amount of processed, uh, uh, the amount of processed foods we consume. In fact, McDonald's just, and I hate McDonald's, their stock just went up because the people are consuming
Wow.
so much of the products, that are high in salt, high in sugar. And man, I tell you, I love a fish burger once in a while. So hey, but the thing about it is that how that impacts.
Mhm.
And the other thing that I would want to talk about is access.
I do have a question.
Sure.
So, with that, I'm here on these conversation and topics that we should have with our families and our. So, is it important for us to go back and ask folks in our families? There are some things that we probably have picked up in our generation. So, how important is it to ask and go back and do research on your family history? Is
So
what I was trying to say.
I think that we are our parents.
Hmm.
How we eat,
Yes.
how we sleep, how we have sex,
Hmm.
um, how we our ethics.
Hmm.
It's generational. So
Right.
intergenerational trauma.
That's what I was
So
thinking of.
from a genetic standpoint, how has that shaped Africans in America? Again, when I talk
Mm.
about Africans in America, I talk about the 1619 Project, I talk about the discussion in the white paper on reparations, and more recently, the discussions that we're having around the healthcare system in California.
Hmm.
And so that's a unique set. And so, just from a standpoint of Africans in America and the amount of trauma involved in our care, of limiting access of issues in terms of food, clothes, and shelter, social determinants. So now in 2022, we understand that food, clothing, and shelter is just as important as the medicine you would be given.
And that's a part of your mental health.
Of course, or that mental health is important.
Absolutely.
And the issue around mental trauma and what that means for an individual in terms of their genetics probably shapes you. It shapes your eating habits, your drinking habits, your ability to, I'm not hating Herschel Walker. I'm just saying he's the product of a system of slavery. And so that's what is being given to us. That's what our choices is. So that's the bigger picture, is that, if this is the only choice you have to give me, then something's going wrong. If this is the choice that I have, if Clarence Thomas is a choice that I have, then what are we talking? If Kanye West is a choice that I have, or are these choices given to me?
We're only speaking for our own perspectives. This is not the perspective, right? That's our own opinions.
I pay for this program.
Exactly. Just wanted everybody to know that on Believe Radio, all of our comments is not of the station. It's our own comments of who we are as individuals. And we have our own opinions. And that's what makes America great, is that we can.
On that, I try to do evidence-based discussions, and
of course,
from a view of again, we're living in a society where a lie is the truth and truth is a lie. So
it's more so lying in a lie.
And so
these days,
exactly. So that is a discussion that has to be had on a truthful discussion. That what is the mindset that has an individual thinking that they can obviously lie at any given time and think that's okay and want to lead me.
Exactly.
I think it's a valid, because that's my health, right? My mental, physical, spiritual health, right? So, what I think is really changing is recently there's been a couple of studies done by the California Health Institute, and this was a black think tank that polled about 100 black folks, which is unheard of. Usually when we get this kind of data, it doesn't come from us. It comes through surveys, but not directly talking to the folks that are impacted. So a couple of articles that are, you can look at this up as CCHOF. It's the California Health, and you can look up listening to Black Californians a report, and so it basically talked to Black Californians. In my case, I would hope to be African Americans of the 1619 Project, that are the original descendants of slavery, and had the most in terms of trauma, in terms of this.
So, folks out there in the lands, is that we are here, as we were talking about, it's the kitchen table. So today you have tuned into the kitchen table, and at the kitchen table, there are conversations that needs to be had in our families and in our community, and we need to bring the table back. We really do. As Mr. Pearson was saying, we need to more so talk about the truth versus landing in a lie. So that is what we are here to do, is to highlight and bring food of thought to the topics and what's happening in the world today. Go ahead, Mr. Pearson.
So this it says the article was by Dr. Linda Cummings. Listening to Black Californians, how the healthcare system undermines their pursuit of good health. Now, I'm gonna read
not be my perspective, but it's their perspective, right?
Okay. The 100 black folks that they talked to.
Oh, all righty.
So this is a black think, remember, okay?
A black think tank.
Black think tank that interviewed. So let's step back.
I'm with you. I'm with you, Mr. Pearson.
Let's step back.
I'm with you, Mr. Pearson.
Okay.
We do this out of love, y'all. We got this. This is what
usually these kinds of studies are done by white folks for us, but not by us, and not for us. So they don't benefit us.
Of course. They would never be able to benefit us. Because lived experience and the things that we've been through, they haven't been through. So you can't speak for me in those type of areas. Thank you, sir.
So the discussion is what Black Californians and how they felt this healthcare system undermines their pursuit of good health, and so it she she's an excellent writer. She says that basically she notes that California is home to the most culturally diverse population in the country and the fifth largest Black population in the state.
Mm.
But a majority, but an opportunity to be a lead, it has an opportunity to be a leader in health equity. What is health equity? That means that when you go to the doctor, you see the doctor, and you get the same kind of treatment that
As
everyone
everybody
else.
Exactly.
Health equity. It's very important.
And that's why you teach education and you have your show, Education is the Best Medicine, because you've always said that it's better for you as an individual to go into seeing your doctor's physicians, so whomever it may be, and know about you. No one can tell you how you're feeling. No one can tell you these different things. You know, or dummy down what you're feeling or what you're not. So it's better for you to always advocate for yourself, is what he's always shared with us in the community. Go ahead, sir.
And so one of the stereotypes is that Black folks don't care about their care.
Oh my.
That they are not interested, and so we have to retrace this healthcare system that says that this has been a system of blaming the individual for being sick.
My.
And so now we're in a discussion because of all these things that have come about in terms of structural and institutional racism, that it's just not how we got care, it's how we did get care. So, and why this is important, because you know, let's say insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. So for the last 50 years at least, that's the system that we've been involved in terms of healthcare given to us, healthcare provided us, whether it be vaccinations. Just look at the numbers. The numbers don't lie. We are still number one in a number of the major diseases: cardiovascular, pulmonary, cancer. We're number one.
To be jailed.
Right.
Our children in cages, yes.
And again, the discussion is, if this is such a good healthcare system, one of the most expensive, one of the most highly technological, how come they can't get the lives of Black folk in America right?
Oh my.
So
that's food for thought.
The discussion has to be had now. So we big folks here. The governor of the state wants to be president, but he can't be president if his state's a mess. So this particular institution of I'll say it, the CARE Act, you go look it up. It's a way they're going to address mental health changes in the state. And now CalAIM. And CalAIM is the Medicare reboot. And why I think it's important, because for a long time, medical and social service and all those kinds of service, food, clothes, have been separate.
If you're talking about serving the whole person, you can't serve parts of them. You have to serve the whole thing: mind, body, soul, spirit.
CalAIM.
Why do we think it's separate? I don't know.
CalAIM. Let's deep dive.
Okay.
It is financially expedient to keep it separate.
Well, that is true.
And so that if you don't want to take care of me, spending the money on me is an issue. So what this discussion is in the state of California is, how do we have equitable care? How do we have health equity when we've had an institutional system that has not wanted to provide care? They've wanted to provide health, but not care.
And it's a difference.
And of course there's a difference. A
lot of people think that it's the same. So, but thank God that we have this Mr. Physician. Physician that's been practicing for over 40 years in the house. We appreciate what you do in our community.
So here's the discussion around what that means for Black residents. We have the shortest life expectancy, 75 years at birth, of any racial ethnic group, 6 years shorter than the state average. Black Californians have the highest death rates from breast, cervical, colorectal, lung, prostate cancer. Like I said,
so we last on the totem pole and everything.
So this is why this has become so important. That's why I'll be talking about why this is so important, because they did listen to Africans in America in terms of having these discussions.
And
Uh,
we want to thank you for tuning in to Believe Radio, which is a 24-hour music and gospel station. We want you to go on Twitter, Facebook, all of your social media, and like and love and send it to family members and friends. Remember what we do as a community for our people and the information that we're bringing, that we're hopefully inspiring us to live life to the fullest, because we need you around. We need you to fulfill your purpose here in life. And that's the reason why God designed us to be here. So again, you have tuned into the kitchen table, and we are honoring Breast Cancer Month. And the topic for today, who we're honoring, is Women of Courage. Your voices, minds, bodies matter. Go ahead, Mr. Pearson.
and on that note, I guess what Emmett Till's the new movie.
Taking care of ourselves mentally. Yeah.
And
Oh my.
I'm not gonna
Wakanda
I'm
forever.
not.
It's coming
Yeah,
too.
I'm not gonna watch it. And I have intergenerational trauma. I was 1 year old.
Intergenerational trauma. Yeah,
I
talk
was
about
at
it.
age 1 when Emmett Till was murdered.
Mm.
And I remember my mom specifically talking about it.
Mm.
Now I realize what she was talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Because remember, there was no internet and all that stuff, so this took a long time for that information to get that this young black man had been murdered.
Right.
You know. Anyway, so
people, we want you to make sure that you take care of yourselves when you are experiencing and going to anything that may trigger or bring up trauma from the past. Please be inspired to take care of ourselves.
There's a hotline. I forgot the number. What's the new number? 811. Okay.
Well, they can also always go to NAMI Contra Costa and pull up our website, and you can find information that will help you and family members with your mental health. We always want to make sure that you are inspired and you are covered with love. And we have a special program there that uplifts African American people, and we give them peer-to-peer support. We connect them with resources, and we connect them with lived experience. Miss Gigi Crowder is a forerunner for making sure our mental health is that we are mental health friendly communities. So thank you, Mr. Pearson.
So us being number one is not fun. And black birthing, just offense that data out, highest rates of prenatal and post department depression, preterm births. My great granddaughter, who is going to be 10, Kaylee.
Hello, beautiful.
Was a preemie, and she was a cute one too, by the way. Her mother was just absolutely dynamic. I didn't understand it until I saw her. Woman. I didn't understand it. But she had to do breast milk and when she was out. It was just crazy. It was a crazy thing. She was 2 pounds, like 0 ounces, and now she's like 10 and long-legged and long hair and just, interesting enough, preterm,
she's a superstar.
Yeah, black females tend to survive better than the black males, which is kind of interesting. So this listening to Black Californians is a three-phase qualitative studies. I mean, these are high-level studies. It was done by a black-owned think tank, Opinion Research in Los Angeles, and so you hopefully the data will be really clear and not corrupted. There were some key findings about people in the healthcare system. They said respondents had a holistic view of health and prioritized it in their everyday lives, which is not what we hear. When I started school, African Americans didn't take care of themselves. They were the hardest, high-risk group, and in reality, we really do honor our health. Experience with racism in healthcare were widespread and negatively impacted participants in health, particularly for women. Women going into the prenatal system or trying to get first-time women's care or that have a STI, and make them feel like they don't matter. So I've witnessed this. participants envision high quality healthcare as patient centered and proactive, and also medical homes. So the discussion around care is a multi-pronged approach, and I guess that what was kind of interesting to me is that they were really clear about the things that were happening to them in the system. And so we can no longer ignore it or deny it's not happening. Uh, this trauma of care, impacts our care. And so the discussion around making this a uniform system that CalAIM is that's the acronym for California Advancing in Innovation in Medi-Cal. Why Medi-Cal? Because Medi-Cal is the most expensive program in the state in regards to healthcare. And to get a handle on those costs would be really important, but we haven't done it in a really effective way. So now we have to do it in an effective way that allows people to get the treatment that they need, because a primary care visit is cheaper than an emergency room visit, basically. Or ER visit. So proactive, preventive care is our model, and so they're going to. This is a multi-year plan to transform California's Medi-Cal program and to make it integrated, more seamless with other social services. For example, if I were discharging someone from the hospital a couple of years back and I need to send them to a place to live, there was no place to live. So you already impacted that person's care if they're diabetic, if they have cardiovascular disease, if they're trying to recover from major surgery. Because if they don't have a place to live, they can't heal, they can't take their medicines. So this person ended up coming back to the ER in an endless cycle. I have a friend who passed, bless his heart. He had schizophrenia, and they estimated it was a Tribune article that they spent like $2 million.
Jesus Christ!
They made $2 million on him in his visit to the ER before he died.
Goodness.
And
wow.
The discussion around medical bankruptcy prior to the Obama Affordable Care Act and the institution of an intelligent plan to provide health care so the care doesn't bankrupt them. Still is a level of quality to be discussed, but it was nothing before. And then what are the goals of CalAIM? Make services more standardized, more equitable across the state, bringing consistency to the current package of programs. It vary by county. So you can't use your Alameda County insurance in Contra Costa if you're on Medi-Cal.
Wow.
So just transferring to maybe a county that's right across from you, it becomes a issue because money is lost, and the services you may be getting in one county may not be the same as in another county, or they don't cover certain things. One of the issues, and again, quality of care. It says they want to ensure that Californians who need the most help and support actually get it by emphasizing proactive outreach to bring people with complex needs into care and offering a no wrong door approach. I was saying about that to people seeking help. So, gonna.
Oh, I was getting ready to say, because all these topics and the things that we're talking about today is very, very heavy, and we want you to know that you are not alone. Please reach out to NAMI Contra Costa. The warm line for NAMI is 925-465-3864. We have another warm line that's for Cal Hope. Is offering non-clinical crisis services to African Americans during, of course, COVID-19 and beyond. And that number is 925-765-9268. Definitely just want to make sure that we, as we move forward, as we share these resources and information, that we just want you to know that you're not alone and that you have support through us. Thank you, sir.
Okay. So we're talking about I love your word, transformational care.
Transformational care. All right
And
now.
so
We've been talking that how many, Jesus
a long time.
Christ, over 30
And
some odd
so
years.
it will enable Medicare managed plans to couple clinical care with a range of non-medical services. This is huge. So example, if you broke your leg and I need to get you a cast and a set of crutches, that's a whole different ball game.
Wow.
And so, or the plan that was attached to it wasn't covered by you, so you could get the crutches, but you couldn't get the boot. So obviously that costs more money because guess what? That person's going to do what? Go right back to the ER.
My.
So this CalAIM program, I think, is the discussion of how we are going to transform care in California. Yes.
And I also want to highlight to the women out there, you have a program that's at Altabates and is that Summit. It's every woman's voice counts, so they can pull that up. And we're talking about breast cancer, and definitely please go to their website and get more information if you don't have medical for your exams.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I want to give a shout out to the Healthy Babies program in
Healthy
Berkeley.
Babies, yes.
Great organization. I want to also give a shout out to my board members of Barbara Ruffin Housing Consortium. They're the resident board members, and they've been doing an excellent job in terms of part of the issue around is food, clothing, and shelter. So I'm the president of a nonprofit. Never get a dime for this. Of a 40-unit
You do
housing.
your time in service.
Oh,
so,
I love it.
You know,
of a housing for affordable housing. And just in the last 10 years, affordable housing was under fire in communities. They were really moved to try to move it out, and then they realized everybody was homeless.
Right.
And this housing and the housing sources. And if you haven't heard of a guy named Byron Rumford, look him up. He's the reason that we have the kind of housing that we have. And in reality, he always championed affordable housing. Again, when you get to the institutional structural issues of redlining in areas and limiting loans, and you get into why we haven't had a larger share of the housing market. And so in Medicare, and so this again, CalAIM has to move into housing, has to move into food, clothing, and shelter issues. Yes.
And I just wanted to give a shout out to the Sisters Under the Stars. We are talking about the different diagnoses and things like that, but you were talking about homelessness and housing. We're talking, but we're not going in our communities. I just want to honor the women that's living under the stars that may be out there in our communities that have their breast cancer. And don't know that they have breast cancer. We just want you to please, when you see a sister on the street or whomever, please encourage her to go get care.
Yeah.
So go ahead, sir.
So, and I think that's one of the discussions.
Yeah.
If we encourage her to go there, could she get that care?
And that's what you're explaining to us.
Yeah.
It seems like
so
we're in a catch-22.
Oh, and I guess this whole program, again, this is going to be a few years in the making.
Mm-hmm.
And because we have a really stable legislature that has moved this forward, it's going to happen because what I want people to envision is our homeless population, our incarcerated population, our hospitalized population that gets released. Mm-hmm. That's the discussion that we're having with this major issue in reboot of Medicare as we know it. And it says, well, and again, this is all on their website. I love it. It says,
and what's the website?
At cchf.org. Let me make sure I got it.
Well, while you're picking that up, I just want to say thank you for tuning in to Believe Radio, which is a 24-hour music and gospel station. The Eyes of the Conscious Soul brings to you every first Saturday of the month. We have Cafe Le Bleu Lounge, and in that is the Artist Talk, The Corner, and Why I Dream, and She Who Believes Takes Off the Mask. And every second Saturday of the month, we have the Medicine Hour with Mr. George Pearson. And then every third Saturday of the month is Education is the Best Medicine. And every fourth Saturday of the month, we have the Lights Out Straight Talk Youth and Young Adult Radio Show, where we have the doc on there. We have the voice, and then we have the Prince of Hearts, Young Men. That's my co host. And then every fifth Saturday of the month, today, we have the kitchen table, where you get hot topics and conversations about what we should be talking about at our tables in our homes.
So the website is chcf.org. It's chcf.org. That's California Health it's consortium, but this is where all these documents are coming from, and it's just a great resource. They funded a lot of these studies around this talking with Black California, so it's a great resource. And and after years of pilots, this program has been piloted too. So they've tried to look at it. The California Advancing Innovative Medicare, or CalAIM initiative, Governor Gavin Newsom called this effort a once in a generational opportunity to completely transform the Medicare system in California. Again, the governor is on board with this because he understands that he can't be president if his healthcare system in the largest state, in one of the largest states in the union, is messed up, and it is, and so, and the public has really been good about supporting Medi-Cal, and it does a lot of good work in children. I mean, since 1 in 4 Black Californians and 1 in 3 Latino are enrolled in Medicare. That's a large part of our population that gets its health services from the Medi-Cal system. So it's our children, it's our elderly, it's our disabled. So it just makes sense that this become a more efficient system, and a system that serves the needs of the community. And I would shout out to Conscious Voices too, by the way.
All right, Conscious Voices, okay. Yeah. So, I just want to say that we cannot honor breast cancer without talking about the whole person, all these other things that our family and the women have to deal with. So this is a gumbo. You got a gumbo going on, and you put a whole lot of good things inside of the gumbo. So we want to make sure that, as we were saying, the topic is the women, of courage. Your voices, minds, bodies matter. So, but we have to talk about the whole.
On that note, as a part of the CalAIM, the transformation opportunity.
Transformational opportunity.
CalMed has the potential to overcome this complexity, making it easier to address the needs of the whole person. There are 4 reasons why this ride is particularly hopeful. First, it is built on success of smaller scale reforms. For example, whole person care pilots help communities learn how to improve connections between physical health and behavioral health. So we're talking about a program that lends itself to mind, body, and spirit now. And to have this written in a form that people should be able to read and understand that should make sense to people, unless things just don't make sense to you.
And also, I just want to highlight that African Americans, we take a holistic approach to our healing, and we have to make sure that some people don't understand that we have a spirituality is a part of our healing, and we don't separate it. Go ahead, sir.
So these pilots kind of demonstrated, which is evidence-based, physical, better patient outcomes and fewer hospitalizations, which is the primary goal of any healthcare system, and now maintenance of the whole person. So this is an advancement of anything I've seen or heard of. It goes back to primary care now with Dr. Wilma Chan, who talked about the complexities of the healthcare system and the need for primary care as its foundational basis. And so this is not something that's an experiment. These have been unwillingness to provide as a system change for the betterment of everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, due to institutional structural racism, people want to limit care because limiting care meant that I was getting care that you weren't getting, you
Mm.
know, for whatever reason. I point back to there was a time when, folks would go to the emergency room and they could, be put right out without even being assessed. So until when a few people died, unfortunately, they then made it so until you stabilize that individual at the emergency room, whatever it was, you could be a college, you could not move that client.
Mm.
And so, but it's amazing you would have to make a rule like that so that somebody wouldn't die.
Wow.
So I'm just saying that that's the
We've been through a
circular
lot, folks.
thinking that
we
we're having,
and people
and
ask
yeah,
why, and we're still resilient
yeah.
and moving forward. It's just unbelievable. All
Well,
of the things that we've been through and are still going through.
we'll talk more about CalMed, but I think CalAIM, excuse me, but CalMed, CalAIM, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
really a conversion of Medi-Cal, so CalAIM. But I think people need to do their homework and start reading about this because this is going to be transformational, not only for one of the largest healthcare population in the state of California, but again, it's going to be a model for how things are going to change.
Mm. Well,
You
we're
know,
grateful to
you know,
that.
yeah. And I well, change is constant,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so what we're talking about is
So the more we're informed,
the better you can make changes,
okay, thank you.
and also intervene
Mm-hmm.
because
Mm-hmm.
everybody's
Prevention,
everybody's gonna have their take on this, and
right?
I say stick with the evidence, stick with the science, stick with things that can be documented to work. I know great ideas happen, and they could be, but where's the track record for a particular process or system that you can call on, particularly as it relates to Africans in America? So that's a small data set. So there's not too much because we weren't studied.
Mm-hmm.
So if you tell me this is a great system for me to utilize, or this is the greatest thing since sliced bread, well, how could we be not included in something so significant and then say this is the best thing we should have? Doesn't make sense.
No, it
So
doesn't.
I'm asking people, like, go vote. Don't
Right.
forget to vote.
Don't forget to vote,
Don't
people.
forget to vote.
Our
Voting
ancestors
is
died for us to vote.
voting is so
Please
essential. It
honor
is so
them.
quintessential. I didn't say who you had to vote for. I said please vote.
Just
Um,
exercise your right.
exercise your right. And I think that you know, um, again, we've always talked about, we continue to talk about improving the lives of Africans in America, and if we can specifically for California Africans in America, more so power to us.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that this is something that people need to be aboard on and understand. How about this here? Before I mentioned Cal AIM, how many of you out there knew about it?
Wow.
How many out there heard about it? Because the things that we need to understand are always hidden. They're either hidden in a
Yes.
book or some literature, or God. And they say, "What's it? If you want to hide something,
Hide it in the book.
hide it in the book.
Oh dear.
Hide it in information."
Yeah.
So I'm asking people to do their homework as we talk about this discussion
Mm-hmm.
and elevate this issue because the thing I like about it, that there are going to be different ways of providing care to Africans in America that they haven't had before. And I think that an African American centered medical home that includes health, medical as well as psychiatric services and the supportive services provide our best success for better outcomes. The outcomes are there. We just have to feel like we can get a piece of that pie. So, anyway.
Wow. Well, once again, you have tuned in to Believe Radio, which is a 24-hour inspirational and gospel music station. Like, click, love, whatever you have to do to and share the broadcasts with your family and your friend, because we are about highlighting our people. We are about encouraging And this is what we're supposed to do. We're here on the Eyes of the Conscious Soul that comes to you live every first, second, third, fourth, and fifth Saturday of the month. That we're hopefully, prayerfully bringing you some information of encouragement and something that can transformational change your life. Today you have tuned into the kitchen table where we have hot topic conversations. We have to bring it back to the kitchen table and have those hard discussions. Again, we want to thank you for tuning in, and we definitely want to make sure that you have support groups. Again, I'm going to always continue to say NAMI Contra Costa. We have an African American support group that happens every fourth Wednesday of the month. You can get in contact with Miss Gigi Crotter. Her email is gigia at namicontracosta.org. And then we also have the Warren line for Cal Hope. You can dial in 925-765-9268. And then we have a Men of Wellness and Support Group, Faith Support Group, that happens every second and fourth Wednesday of the month. And you can contact Mr. Pastor Alfonso Edwards. And then we also have just different information. The African American Uplift Program, which is unique, that supports African Americans with lived experience that we can connect you to for peer support. African American support groups, resources. We're about uplifting our community, individuals, and family members. Pull up NAMI CC, NAMI Contra Costa, to know that you are not alone. Please, we are here to support you. Go ahead, Mr. Pearson.
Cal AIM, right?
Cal AIM.
All right. So timeline for implementation. So, when is this going to happen? When is this going to start? We always hear about this stuff. So I'm going to read the timeline implementation because this is directly from the CF paper. The first reforms will start implemented in January of 2022. 2022, January. That means it's already started.
Oh. And as you were saying, many people may not even know about
many of the activities that Cal AIM will cover require waiver approval from the Center for Medicare
so please
Medicaid
give them that information
Services.
again, sir.
It says that the first reforms will start to be implemented in January 2022, and additional reforms will be phased in through 2027. Many of the activities that Cal AIM will cover require a waiver approval from the Center for Medicare and Medicaid Services, and I'll tell you how that happens. And it is expected to be finalized December 2021.
That's in a couple more, 2 more months.
Hello. Are we here yet?
God.
Are we here yet?
So do we have in the meantime, again for them to go on?
The CCHF website is best. And I think what's important about this is it's already started. It started in January of this year. And there was no big bells and whistles out for it, right?
No.
Well, because the way the Affordable Care Act is, they're going to require a waiver to change this program over. That's why voting is so important, because if the wrong people get in, it's going to be stopped.
Oh my gosh.
Now they're about saving money, about changing issues. I think it's going to happen, but you'd want a body politic that understands this needs to happen. So again, that's why we have to be on it. We have to be aware of it and understand that.
Well, that's what we're here for, is to make sure that we bring you information that's going to help you and your family.
And so, last thing,
support you and your family.
Because you brought it up, Cal AIM builds on prior initiatives like the Whole Person Care Pilot, Healthy Homes Program Pilot, the Drug Medicare Organized Delivery System Pilot, the Coordinate Care Initiative.
My goodness, I haven't even heard of this information, but we thank you, Doc. We thank you, Mr. Pearson, for bringing us the resources and information.
So you can go to the Cal AIM website and you look at the timeline and and keep moving. But what I want folks to understand is that I brought this up because I hadn't heard it on the news either.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and if you're not reading and listening in the right circles,
Right.
you won't get the information. And this is already passing you by because you know all this is going to be funding sources in your community to determine how you want healthcare provided in your community.
Mm.
It won't. It will no longer be business as usual because business as usual have us number one in cancer, heart disease, infant mortality, you name it. So those can't, that kind of care can't continue.
Mm.
So that
And
is
we're
what we're
moving
doing.
into 2023, so we definitely need to get on board with this information to make sure we utilize the program.
Now,
Otherwise, they'll take it away
there you go. And what I say is just think
because
about
we
it.
didn't know about it.
Well, there's always resistance to change.
Yeah, that's true.
I would say that the great resignation from COVID in healthcare was a discussion about not wanting to change.
Mm.
And the fact
And
that
people think COVID is not around, but it's still
not,
there.
excuse me, the highest level of hospitalization now are the young children.
Oh my.
And so, as I've said before, it's not over yet.
Mm-hmm.
And we still have 30% of people that have not been vaccinated. They had a whole, oh wait, I missed who you were going. They had a whole high school, 1,000 students get sick from flu, right? So now we have the flu, influenza coming, and the problem with that is that because we've been inside, been masking, we have less immunity.
Mm.
So those folks that have not gotten vaccinated for the last couple of years are at higher risk. Yeah, people of color, older, medically underserved, risk issues, homelessness, all that stuff. It's a petri dish. And so the discussion around getting these next series of COVID vaccinations as well as your flu vaccination, I got one more to do. I got to do my pneumovax. The only reason I didn't get that one because they didn't have it. You can have these together depending on who you are. Unless you have an allergy to eggs, check it out. But the bottom line is get these vaccines, because this next level of COVID, this next level of flu, we haven't seen.
Jesus.
And so I'm just saying to folks, they think it's over, but it's not over. And who's going to be affected the most are the babies. This is who you should be concerned about. Me, I'm 67. So what? But my grandchild at 10, oh no. I just lost her mother.
Yeah.
So I think people are being a little bit cavalier.
There we go.
The holidays are coming. There's going to be a lot of travel. People unmasked. Again, remember, it's like being underwater. You can only stay underwater so long, then you got to come up.
That there's true. Or you're going to die.
So I'm just saying, people, don't be foolish.
Once again, you have tuned into Believe Radio, which is a 24-hour inspirational and gospel music station. Please tune in every day if you can, because we have different broadcasts that's coming to you live every, some of it, pre-recorded, some are live. But however, we just want to make sure that we keep a Black-owned station in our legacy. This is our legacy, and we're grateful and thankful to have this opportunity to be a part of Legacy. We want to thank the owners, Mr. Adam Ology and Mr. Curtis Thomas. We want to thank them both for their diligence in what they're trying to do and provide to our communities. And we are thankful to them. Every first Saturday of the month, you have on the Eyes of the Conscious Soul, Cafe the Blue Lounge, which is Artist Talk. Why I Dream, She Who Believes Takes Off the Mask. And then we have every second Saturday of the month, the Medicine Hour. And then the third Saturday of the month, we have Education is the Best Medicine. Every fourth Saturday of the month, we have the Lights Out Straight Talk Youth and Young Adult Radio Show. And every fifth Saturday of the month, we have the Kitchen Table, which we are talking today. Go ahead, Mr. Pearson.
Last thing, listening to Black Californians, it counteracts a perception that Black people don't care about their health. The study shows that Black Californians are highly intentional in their pursuit of good health, and more than 2/3 of Black Californians with Medicare coverage make a significant effort to speak up about concerns, 84%, and get appropriate screenings, track indicators, and are concerned about their personal health. And they work to reach and maintain healthy weight, and more than 8 to 10 have regular doctor visits. A more somber note, however, is that 4 in 10 Californians with Medicare coverage have been treated unfairly by a healthcare provider because of their race or ethnicity, and more than one in three report avoiding care out of concern they would be treated unfairly or disrespected. Black Californians have a clear opinions of how they make healthcare system work better for, and the considerations were increased Black representation of healthcare leaders, providers, and facilities, expand community-based resources for navigation and advocacy, train providers on implicit bias, and create accountability mechanisms for health systems to address inequities and face consequences when racism occurs. That being said, Calais.
Wow. Okay, well, Mr. Pearson, we want to thank you for all of your information and your you are a walking you are a walking, what would I say?
Just read the literature.
Yeah.
Read the literature.
I mean, we thank you.
Read the literature.
Encyclopedias.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
you have the information. We're grateful that we can. It's about us highlighting and honoring our people in our community, and this is what the Eyes of the Conscious Soul is about. And we've always been about that. We will continue to be about that. Is to highlight and uplift people like yourself. That loves our community and loves giving the resources and information to our people. It is our responsibility and our duty to do so. And we're grateful and thankful for the platform that we have to be able to do that. And on that note, I want to thank our sponsors. One of our sponsors is Elevate Gospel Ministries, Pastor Larry Austin. And then we have Education is the Best Medicine. And then we have Ms.Barbara Howell Consulting. Time flies when we're having fun. We have like 3 more minutes to go. Go ahead, Mr. Pearson.
Well, affairs of the healthcare system. And this Black woman said, I feel like Black voices aren't as loud. They're not taken as seriously. I wasn't listened to, and this is her story. It ended up being very serious, actually a life-threatening problem. I told my doctor I was short of breath, and he told me you are out of shape. You just need to lose weight and exercise more. It ended up that I was severely anemic and had to have 2 blood transfusions.
Oh my God.
This is a Black woman and a focus group participant. Nearly 1 in 3 Black Californians have been treated unfairly by a healthcare provider because of their race and ethnicity. Many Black Californians adopt measures to mitigate potential negative experiences in preparation for a healthcare visit. That means, we don't like going to the doctor because we don't like how they make us feel after we come. We feel worse.
When you feel worse on top of what you're dealing with.
Again, we're going to delve deep into this, but Black Californians have a really good, clear issue about my thought about how the healthcare system has made us sick. I want to thank Dr. Green and the focus group for Conscious Voices. I want to thank Barbara Howard for getting back here and bringing her brand to the brand.
Thank you, Mr. Pearson. It's always a pleasure being with you on air and the work that we do together. I'm grateful to that.
Welcome back.
Thank you, sir.
Well, thank everybody for tuning in. Thank the Facebook family.
Yes. Without you all, we wouldn't be here. So we want to thank all of the social medias. And go ahead, sir.
Just keep it moving. We're going to continue to try to advance and move forward. And there's always different slices of the low calorie pie we're gonna eat.
Say, look, you got Thanksgiving coming up. You talking about some low calorie pie. Oh my God. Look, they talking about sweet potato pie, peach cobbler, and some pound cake. Now, pound cake. Now, look, I know a sister gonna hurt herself with some pound cake. You know, I'm gonna have to push. I'm gonna have to push back. I know. I look, our sister needs to lose a little bit weight today, and I know that, but I'm gonna have to push. It's gonna be a little hard, but it's okay. But we want to thank you guys for tuning in, and thank you. We appreciate you, and good night.
Thank you very much. Good night.